The millionaire was ruined. Her accounts, her reputation, her legacy, gone in seconds. She was alone in her office on Christmas Eve, ready to give up, until she discovered who her quiet, elderly janitor really was. Before we dive into this incredible story of betrayal and redemption, don't forget to comment down below which country you are watching this video from. Let's see how far this story travels. It was 10 p.m. on Christmas Eve. The city of New York was covered in a thick blanket of snow. Down on the streets, people were rushing home to their families, carrying gifts and singing carols. But on the 45th floor of Sterling Tech, there was no joy. There was only silence, broken by the hum of servers and the soft sobbing of Elena Sterling. Elena was the CEO of the country's largest cybersecurity firm. She was a titan of industry. But tonight, she looked small. She stared at her monitor, her face pale, reflected in the red light blinking on the screen. System breached. Critical failure. Her fortune. Her contracts. 20 years of hard work. It was all dissolving before her eyes. She slammed her hand on the mahogany desk, a sound of pure frustration. The phone on her desk was flashing. Investors, the press, the board of directors. She knew the news would leak by morning. Sterling Tech hacked. It would be the end of her. A few meters away, the sound of a mop bucket wheel squeaking broke the tension. Arthur, a man in his 60s wearing a gray uniform, stopped. He held a mop in one hand and a trash bag in the other. He had been cleaning these offices for 6 months. He was invisible to everyone. Just the janitor. He never spoke, just nodded and did his job. But tonight, the red light reflecting off the glass walls caught his attention. He walked closer, his steps slow but deliberate. He wasn't looking at the trash cans. He was looking at the lines of code cascading down Elena's massive monitor. Elena looked up, her eyes red from crying. She saw him and wiped her face quickly, her armor going back up. "Please, Arthur, not now," she said, her voice sharp and dismissive. "Just leave the trash. Go home. It's Christmas." Arthur didn't move. He leaned his mop against the wall. "That code," Arthur said, his voice raspy but surprisingly steady. "That's not a standard glitch, Ms. Sterling," Elena scoffed, turning back to the screen. "Please, don't touch anything. This is complicated engineering. You wouldn't understand." Arthur took a step closer. "It's a Hydra worm. Someone is inside the kernel, moving laterally." Elena froze. She spun her chair around. "What did you just say?" Arthur sighed, a sound that carried the weight of a long, hidden life. "I said, someone is moving through your servers. If you don't isolate the subnet in 3 minutes, they will access the employee payroll and pension funds." Elena stared at him. The man who emptied her paper shredder was talking about subnets and kernels? "How? How do you know that?" she whispered. Arthur didn't answer. He walked past her, disregarding the boss-employee boundary for the first time. He looked at the keyboard. "May I?" he asked. Elena hesitated. It was insane. But her lead engineers were at holiday parties, not answering their phones. She was drowning. "Do it," she breathed. Arthur sat in the CEO's leather chair. His rough, calloused hands hovered over the backlit keyboard. Then he began to type. He didn't type like a janitor. He typed like a pianist, fast, rhythmic, brutal. "It's a chain attack," Arthur mumbled, his eyes darting across the 3 screens. "They are using a back door, a legacy port." Elena stood behind him, watching in awe. "Can you stop it?" "I can slow it down," Arthur said. "But this is sophisticated. Who are you up against, Elena?" "I don't know," she cried. "We have the best firewalls in the world. This shouldn't be possible." Arthur paused for a split second. "Everything is possible if you built the lock yourself. I recognize this signature." "You do?" Arthur didn't look up. "Before I was cleaning floors, I was. Let's just say I was the guy they called when governments had problems like this, back in the 90s. Cold War stuff. Elena felt a chill that had nothing to do with the snow outside. She was standing next to a ghost, a man who had clearly fallen from grace or chosen to disappear. "Why are you here?" "Why are you a janitor?" she asked. "Because the digital world is dirty," Arthur said, executing a command that turned a section of the red screen green. "And cleaning floors is honest work. It helps me sleep." Suddenly, a high-pitched siren wailed through the building. The office lights died, plunging them into darkness, illuminated only by the emergency red strobes and the monitors. "They're in the mainframe," Arthur said, his voice dropping. "They aren't just stealing data, Elena. They are wiping it. They are trying to erase Sterling Tech from existence." Elena grabbed the edge of the desk. "My employees. Their pensions. The Christmas bonuses." "Gone," Arthur said, "unless we go offensive." "Offensive? That's illegal," Elena stammered. Arthur looked at her. The emergency light cast shadows on his wrinkled face, making him look like a warrior. "They are robbing you blind on Christmas Eve. Do you want to be legal, or do you want to survive?" Elena looked at the photo of her team on the wall. She looked at Arthur. "Kill it," she commanded. "Do whatever you have to do. I give you full authorization. Access code Alpha Zero Christmas." Arthur typed the master code. He bypassed the safety protocols. He traced the signal back to the source. He wasn't just blocking the attack anymore. He was hunting the attacker. "Gotcha," Arthur whispered. "Where is it coming from?" Elena asked, leaning in. "Russia? China?" Arthur shook his head. "No, it's coming from inside the building. The VPN is local." He pulled up the user log. Elena gasped. She covered her mouth with her hand. On the screen, the unauthorized user ID flashed clearly. S. Miller. "Sarah?" Elena choked out. "No, that's impossible. Sarah Miller is my partner, my best friend. She's at a gala right now." "She's emptying your accounts," Arthur said grimly. "She's using a script to transfer the assets to an offshore crypto wallet while destroying the evidence. She wanted you to take the fall." Elena fell back against the wall. Sarah, the woman she had started this company with in a garage, the godmother to her niece. It was the ultimate betrayal. "Stop her," Elena whispered, tears streaming down her face again. "Burn her out." Arthur nodded. He initiated a counter-protocol. He didn't just stop the transfer, he reversed it. He locked the back door and encrypted the logs, trapping Sarah's digital fingerprint in the crime scene. "It's over," Arthur said, leaning back in the chair, breathing heavily. Sweat beaded on his forehead. "The money is back, the data is restored, and the police. Well, the police just received an anonymous packet of evidence against Ms. Miller." The red emergency lights turned off. The main white lights flickered back on. The hum of the servers returned to normal. Elena stared at the screen. System secure. She looked at Arthur. He stood up, picked up his mop, and started to walk toward his cart as if nothing had happened. "Wait!" Elena called out. She ran to him and grabbed his hand. "Where are you going?" "Shift isn't over, Miss Sterling," Arthur said humbly. "Break room still needs mopping." "No," Elena said, shaking her head. "You are never touching a mop again." The next morning, the headlines were shocking. Tech mogul Sarah Miller arrested for corporate espionage. Elena Sterling had saved the company. But the real story happened inside the office. 1 month later, the glass doors of the executive suite opened. Elena stood there, smiling. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to our new Chief Information Security Officer." Arthur walked in. He wasn't wearing a gray uniform. He was wearing a sharp, tailored suit. He looked distinguished, capable, and proud. The staff applauded, some confused, some amazed, but Elena clapped the loudest. That evening, looking out at the city skyline, Elena asked him, "Arthur, you saved my life. Why did you help me? After how I ignored you all these months." Arthur smiled, watching the snow fall. "Because, Elena, everyone deserves a second chance, even me. And besides, nobody should be alone in the dark on Christmas. Elena learned that day that true value isn't written on a business card. The person cleaning your trash might be the only one capable of saving your empire. Never look down on anyone. The quietest people often have the loudest minds. If this story inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe. Remember, kindness costs nothing, but dignity is priceless. Merry Christmas.